Okay, so a question we get asked all the time is, we have this scenario where our clients would move if the right home popped up, but they have no immediate need. They're content in their home right now, but they know that in the near future, that home's not going to serve them well, and they would make the move. So, what is the next plan for, like, what would you recommend? Do they go ahead and get pre-approved even though they're not going to be making a move in the next 90 days? How would you address that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I think we've all come across this all the time, right? And so I like to tell stories, Caitlin and Tara. And so I'm going to tell a story about myself and then I'll tell a story about some other clients. So I was in this situation. I moved the DFW area 3 years ago, and I didn't have a timeline to buy a house either, right? But one thing that I knew that I needed to do is if the perfect house popped up, if we were out meandering on the weekend after church, going into some open houses, because that's kind of a hobby sometimes to go, oh, let me go look at that one, or oh, let me go look at that one. One thing I realized is like when we're ready, like mentally, and when like we have an ambition and desire, like when we're ready but we're not prepared, that could be a real deal killer and a buzzkill for a family. Like if they went in the perfect house and they walked around and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the one that we would move for. Like we've seen a lot of open houses over the past couple of years and on this guy, but if I wasn't prepared, like there was a lot of demand for this particular house, like I wouldn't have been able to get this house, right? I had to act quickly. There was a lot of demand. There was a lot of competition. And if I didn't have a strong offer, I truly would have lost. And the only saving grace is that I did have the strongest offer. I did close the fastest. The builder wanted that because they wanted to get their money as soon as possible so they could go on and build their other ones and get their money back. And so I would just say, like, it's always prudent, in my opinion, if there is a goal to buy something in the next 24 months, that you find out where you stand today, because there may be some things in the closet that you don't know about that have to get fixed, or you might not qualify for the interest rate that you could qualify if you started the process just a little bit earlier. And so, a couple of things that I always know with buyers, because we certainly serve a lot of families around the country, is the number one goal when they find a house that they want is number one, they want to get that house and be prepared to do that. Number two, they want the best interest rate. And so another thing that often, really prevents families from taking the first step and buying the house that they really want is maybe the payment is higher than they really wanted. And if they could get that payment a quarter of a percent lower, or sorry, a few $100s lower based on a quarter percent interest rate, 0.5% interest rate, et cetera, like they probably would have met the reality, and that goal would have matched if the payment was right. And so oftentimes we see people not, getting the house that they want because the payment threshold is just a little higher than they felt comfortable with. So at the end of the day, we see families around the country where realtors introduce them to us because they found the house that they really want. It is the one, like they've been casually looking for a long time, and then they go to get pre-approved and they're not pre-approved for one reason or another. So I would encourage people, if they're listening to this, to take the first step. The great thing today versus 2 years ago, and then forever in this industry, is people can run a soft credit pull. And so we start the application process. There's no strings attached. There's really no downside in just running a soft credit pull that doesn't negatively impact their credit score at all, but it allows us to kind of see what's possible and how to structure financing for them that'll really help them strategically, get the best particular product for them at the best interest rate for them.
And then as far as the logistics go, so to put it in perspective, I've been in the business 13 years and I have written 2 contingent contracts my entire career. And that's been very much attributed to the market that we've been in. That could change. But in our market, it's nearly impossible, especially when I've got a unicorn house shopper that's looking for a special property, to be able to think that we're going to be able to write a contingent offer on there. So how does one navigate the logistics of, I don't want to list my house for sale and get the proceeds when I haven't found my house? What happens then?
Yeah, it's the biggest conundrum, I'm sure, that you see. I see it all the time with buyers today. This market, because of inventory being so low, we see that, sellers don't want to accept contingent offers right now because that will affect their ability to get the house they really want. And so if the seller, they have a house that they want to buy, that's the reason why they're selling. If they have to go contingent on their next property, then they might not get the one that they really want. So we have this really interesting domino effect in the industry right now that's probably more prevailing than we've ever seen in the industry before because the inventory level is so low. And so I really encourage people, like, we have all of these products, strategic products, to help people in situations just like you mentioned, right? They want to, they want to wait. They don't want to list their property because they don't have one that they're going to buy yet. And then all of a sudden they find one that they want to buy, but they don't have their property ready to list yet. And so again, another awesome opportunity for people to just see where they stand, see what's possible, and really unlock a lot of the products that will help them go non-contingent, meaning they don't have to sell their house before they buy. Like, they can buy this one and take their time to sell their house and get the most money for it. We call those buy before you sell products and bridge loan products. And so we have literally a multitude of products available to clients in this market that will strategically help them get the most money for this when they decide to sell, and also buy before they're able to do that. So we've really solved the conundrum that we've seen in the last couple of years.